Hey there, it's Brenda Meller back today with another LinkedIn mini profile audit for a job seeker. And I'm joined today by Sandra Rogoza. Hey, Sandra, how are you doing today?
I'm excellent, Brenda. How are you?
Doing good. Thank you. And delighted to be here with you. So, as we are getting started, Sandra, I'm going to first start by asking the question. Are there any specific questions you have about using LinkedIn for your job search or about your profile that I can help you with?
More specifically concerning my profile, and I'd like you to take a look at my banner photo because I've also been told that I should put some kind of text or something different in my banner profile with some words. And then also, if my about section is clear as to the value that I bring to a prospective employer.
Okay, great. So we'll focus on your header image and your about statement as we look through here. And if anything else jumps out at me, I'll focus in on that as well. So as we're giving you this feedback, I always like to ask the question as well. What is your targeted job title in your targeted geographic area?
My targeted job title is director level in business development or
Mhm.
sales because I do have the full cycle business development to customer experience process.
Okay.
And geographical region, I'm currently living in Alberta, Canada. However, I am looking at, I'm open to relocation anywhere in the democratic world.
Okay, very good to know. Okay, awesome. So as we're looking at your profile, so the first thing you had mentioned was questions about the header image, and this is that rectangular image that sits right behind your headshot photo here. And I guess first thing I would ask of you is, I'm not familiar with what that landscape is. Is that a city landscape, or what are we looking at there?
Actually, it's a city landscape, and that is an actual bridge, and
Oh,
it looks like a pipeline.
okay. So
So
was
I
that? Go ahead.
go ahead, Brenda.
Was that chosen because it's the your targeted geographic area, or just because you like the imagery on there?
I chose it because it's reflective of the sales pipeline, business development and sales pipeline. And that's why I'm looking at putting some words in there to reflect, uh, to, to tie in and to associate what that pipeline bridge represents.
Okay, very good. Now, I didn't get that at all, and I want to keep in mind, like, I'm not your ideal target audience. I'm just someone looking at your profile.
Yeah.
But I like to think about when I'm giving feedback, the average someone looking at your profile might not be a salesperson or a sales leader. They might not have gotten that connection. And oftentimes when we look at city landscapes, things like that, the natural inclination is that's the city that the person is in, or that the city, the geographic area that they're targeting for their job search. So my natural question was, oh, is that like downtown Calgary? I'm not familiar. I'm in Metro Detroit, so I wasn't familiar with that. If you were to use an image, and it's perfectly fine to use a stock photo image of a city skyline with a bridge symbol in there, I do like the thought of putting some keywords or descriptive phrase on there. And I have seen some people, they'll just put director of business development and sales. Or in a job seeker perspective, to try to win them over, you might say your next director of business development and sales. So someone reading that, I'm like, oh, that's kind of clever. Alternatively, you can say building your sales pipeline. You can use something that is a nod to the picture on there. Now, even saying building your sales pipeline, I might not connect the dots between what you just said in the
Mm.
imagery. Because it, to me, I'm not thinking pipeline, I'm not even thinking tunnel, I'm still thinking city landscape in the
Mhm.
background. So I often will tell people, almost imagine if you were holding your header image, if you're standing on the street corner and cars are driving by and you're holding that, would they get what you mean by it? Holding that up, they might go, oh, it's a city skyline. And if you were to say building your next pipeline, I don't know that they would connect the dots and know that you're talking about the pipeline. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense. Yes.
Okay, very good. And in terms of the imagery, how long have you had this particular photo on your LinkedIn?
Probably for about, I'd say, 3 months.
I've seen that too long, and I think this is fairly recent. My recommendation, and the reason I asked about the timing of that, is that we change out this header image periodically, and maybe once a year is kind of the minimum. If you're in career transition, it might even be quarterly, changing out a different image in there once a quarter, or tweaking the words that you have at the top of that header image, because of the fact that you're going to have people that are repeat visitors to your profile. People who've been here before, they come back again. And if it's the same image, they're going to ignore it. But if there's a different image, or a different image with some different text or a headline or an inspirational quote about sales or leadership or something, like I might read it, I might pause and look at that. Does that help you?
Yes, it does.
Okay,
That's a very good
wonderful.
tip. Mhm.
Good. All right, we're going to move along now to your about statement. So you were asking the question, is the about statement making it clear what you're looking for? Was that your question, or could you ask that again?
Yes, that's correct, Brenda.
Okay. So here's what I like to think about in the about statement. And you've gone through one of my online programs as well, so you'll be familiar with this feedback. We always want to think about, even though LinkedIn gives us 2,600 characters in total for the about statement, and I'm a big proponent of using all of them, we really want to focus on the first 4 lines, because most people will not click on see more. And I think the statistic I heard was like 95% of people won't click on see more. So I really like to focus on what we see in those first 4 words, making it clear that it is written for the ideal target audience. And my kind of way of looking at this is, your about statement is not really about you. It's about you as it relates to your ideal target audience. So it's about you as a candidate. It's about you as somebody who wants to join the team at your next employer. So when we look at the first 4 lines, I want to make sure that it's crystal clear to me what it is that you're looking for. And in your case, you had also mentioned that you're currently in Calgary, but that you'd be open to relocating in North America, or would you also be interested in a fully remote position as well? Is that fair to say?
Yes, because I have considerable experience in remote positions because
Okay.
of my global background.
Okay. Very good. So when I'm looking at the first statement, my initial reaction is, I'd like to have something right away that grabs you in the first line on here. And I always like to use first person I am, type of the
Mm,
statements on here. So I am. I mean, what if we were to change it and say, I am a visionary and results driven executive professional in global business development? And what if we were to change that and say, I am a visionary and results driven executive professional in global business development, sales, and marketing, who is eager to hit the ground running and help your company. I'm currently, and rather than starting with a bring over 20 years, I'm currently seeking my next full time position as a director of business development and sales, either in North America, Calgary, or 100% remote. Like, what if we were to start right off with that, just to grab their attention, make sure that it's clear that you're writing this for that hiring manager who might be scanning through profiles and just quickly looking at that about statement. How does that feel for you?
yes, that feels really good.
Okay. And then what the rest of the stuff that you have in here, I think it's always, I always like to think about it's accurate, it's great, but I don't know that I would lead with the 20 years. I might, move that
Mm,
maybe down to the second paragraph inside there. And I always want to think about, in the first 4 lines, I want you to think about answering the question, why should we hire you? And imagine, if you can, Sandra, that it's between you and another final candidate, and
mhm.
they're like, Sandra, why should we hire you? You gotta pull out your sales muscle here. You gotta sell yourself. And I think that, coming with, you're a visionary, results driven, ready to hit the ground running and join your team. Like, that to me would be like, yes, I want her. I gotta talk to her. So maybe just rephrasing those first 4 lines inside there might be helpful. Um, I'm just scanning throughout here. The only other thing I might suggest adding to your about is something at the end. You've got a lot of everything right now here is focused on business and who you are as an executive and what you bring to a company. What if you were to add something at the end that's kind of pulling back that professional exterior a bit and talking about personal goals, personal interests? In my spare time, I love hiking in the forest with my dog Pepper. and I, enjoy touring the world and eating the world's finest pies. Something that has nothing to do with sales, but it's that conversation starter and it's that thing that humanizes you, if that makes sense. Thoughts on
It
that?
does, it does, and I do have something rather unusual that I could put at the end.
Good. And those, I find those actually do start some conversations. I find people will read to the bottom, and not everyone, but someone will go, "Oh, you got a dog named Pepper, my dog's named Pepper," and then we get a conversation started from there.
Yeah.
All right. And I'm just going to do a quick once over on the profile just to see if there's anything else that's jumping out on me. I did look through this before our call today, and I don't think I noticed anything else. I did notice that in your skills section, you're one of the lucky people that now you probably have up to 100 skills, or the ability to add up to 100 skills. It was 50. And I started hearing
Oh,
rumblings that LinkedIn is now extending that to up to 100 skills. Now, Sandra, I've always been advising people use the spaces for all 50 to optimize that. I'm not hearing any data yet that's saying if you use 100 skills, you'll come up in more searches. So I don't think you need to necessarily do anything there other than just make sure that the top two skills that are in this viewable area are the top two skills that you want to be known for.
okay.
Okay. And then other than that, just keep active on LinkedIn. That was one thing I was looking for in your activity feed section. Let me get to that right now. Is that you should be posting at least once a week. And, you've got a good follower count and you've got a pretty good cadence on there. So you certainly could do even twice a week or 3 times a week. At least one of those posts should be illustrating your expertise in sales, business development, networking, relationship building, leadership. So I want to kind of see those posts that help to exemplify what you would be if I were to hire you for my company as director of business development.
Yes, and I am in process of building out a LinkedIn marketing calendar to be
Excellent.
able to facilitate that and also writing an article at least once every 2 weeks.
Awesome. Well, that's great to hear. Well,
Yeah.
good. Well, keep up the good work. Any final questions before we wrap up here today?
You've really provided some very excellent tips, Brenda. I really appreciate your expertise and also having gone through the boot camp that really gave me a good kickstart. And again, you mentioned about changing out the banner profile or the banner photo every once in a while just to mix things up and the wording. That is excellent advice. I like that. And from your marketing perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you had a solid profile because you've done the homework in the boot camp program, Sandra. And I really do believe if for you, you're going to find your next opportunity probably through networking. So I'll just
Yes.
encourage you to keep growing your network, keep active on LinkedIn. There's the necessary evil of applying through the jobs board, but continue to try to make connections at that company. And I believe you're going to land something. So I just want to say thank you again for the opportunity to join me here today.
Thank you, Brenda. It's been a pleasure.
Awesome. All right. And for those of you watching, I want to remind you that we do offer a Friday VIP Job Seeker Office Hours event. It's every Friday, the first Friday of the month, I should say, from 10 to 11 a.m. every month on the first Friday of the month, is what I meant to say. From 10 to 11 a.m. You can go to mellermarketing.com/Friday VIP to register, and we will include that link below. Take care and have a great day. Thank you.
Okay. Bye.